Welcome to Where They Wander. We are Kat and Kev, and we travel full-time around the United States in our Grand Design Imagine.
We are in the Florida Everglades, and we're in the National Park. We've been here for almost a week, and we've taken 2 different boat tours. One out into the wilderness, different slough they call them, or like lakes, and the other one into the Florida Bay, and that was today. Here we are in the Everglades National Park. We're on our way to a boat ride.
Did you know the Everglades is not a swamp? It is one of the slowest moving rivers in the world. They attempted to drain the Everglades twice in the early 20th century, claiming that this would be the land of plenty, crops, properties, etc. Of course, it failed miserably because when the big rains came, the Lake Okeechobee flooded and all the water came through, washed the crops away, washed all the land away.
Here we are going to the boat tour. This place is amazing. We're at Flamingo.
Excited much? Yes.
Yeah.
This concrete structure here is called a plug. It's not a dam and it's not a bridge. A long time ago, there was a natural shoreline here. And when they took it down, the water of the Florida Bay ahead of us is saltier than the water through the Buckwood Canal. It made this water more salty, and the plants and the animals did not like it. We lost some species of plants. Many animal numbers were lowered, specifically the American coot. And so in 1982, they put that plug back to keep the water separated. You can see some birds in those towers. You're actually going to see more than one bird. There's 4 birds in that tower. There's 2 babies. Those are osprey. Now, osprey mate like swans. They come back to the same nest year over year over year for 20 to 25 years. They have between 1 and 3 babies per club. Okay, these birds eat fish, and it's the male, not the female, that gets the material for that nest. Okay. He gets all the sticks and the twigs and the Spanish moss, and he collects it, brings it to her, and if she likes it, she twists it in that nest and makes it larger every year because they return to it year over year. If she doesn't like it, she grabs it, flies over the water, and drops it in the water, and he has to start all over again. As a matter of fact, I can see one of the chicks right up there. Right there on that riverbank, that is a baby crocodile. Yes. Oh, yes. Now, when those guys are born, they're between 8 and 10 inches long. They can get up to 16 feet long.
It's your first alligator. What do you think?
It wasn't an alligator, it was a crocodile.
Exactly.
They're amazing. It's a baby, about this big.
He's right there behind you.
Not his mouth, in his claws, in his talons. What you do is when you look at that bird
osprey with
down
the
on the stick that he's
there's
sitting
an
on,
osprey
you'll see
over
a
here, so
big
we're going
tail
back.
sticking out.
This tour is fantastic. If they see something, then they will literally stop and all go back. It's fantastic. All right, let's see if we can see him. Now he's got the fish in his claws.
There's the fish.
Poor fishy.
I'm going to step right out here. It has heart-shaped droopy leaves. You might see some yellow flowers. You might see some purple berries in it. That is a manchineel tree, and that is the most deadly plant on the planet.
What?
Everything on this plant can hurt you. If you touch any part, you get a chemical burn on your hands. Okay, it's been in National Geographic, Time magazine, it's been photographed thousands of times. That is a red mangrove. We know it because the way the roots come down like hands, they're called base roots. And then the ones that start from the top of the tree and come down are called prop roots because there is nothing but mud under that tree. Only about 3 feet of mud is all it needs. This is good because it extends our shoreline, protects us from wind and rain, and it prevents erosion. Those animals get 1 foot per year for the first 7 years of their So if he looks about 4 feet long,
so everybody in the front gets a good look at it.
You see him?
There. He's down in there.
Oh, I see him, yeah.
There he is, right there. Right there.
right in front of you. Now, that bird is also called a snake bird because it has a very thin neck and a very sharp beak. It dives in the water and it swims for fish.
You see
They also
him?
have white patterns on the back of their wings. Some people say it looks like piano keys. It's been called a piano bird as well. Now you can see it. So the golden throat. Same. Now you can see the pattern on the wings. This was the first park that was designed for its biology and its geology. Other parks have rivers and canyons and geysers and volcanoes, and we don't. We have an amazing amount of biology above, on, and below the water. Mud and water back there. You could take 20 minutes to go 100 yards. The water is the color of a cup of hot chocolate, and this is the second largest mangrove forest in the world. Oh, the first is called the Sundarbans. It is on the Indian-Bangladesh border. Now this body of water, this is Coot Bay. Okay, now Coot Bay is named Coot Bay after the American coot. It's a bird like a duck. It's a little bit smaller, black. It has a white bill. Okay. Coot Bay is a mile by half a mile by about 3.5 feet. Very shallow. And there is a lot of fish in the water. Tarpon, snow redfish, mullet, sheephead, snapper, just to name a few.
This black-headed buzzard right here in the parking lot. Oh, of course, there's a pair of them. So close he is to Kev, look. Now these buggers apparently will chew the rubber off your cars. We've seen many cars covered. Look at him. I'm just walking up to him. See if I can get him to take off. Yeah, they eat the windshield wipers. Look, I am.
Over here past our manatees, you're going to see a tower, you're going to see some sticks on it, you're going to see 3 birds, there's actually 4 in there, but you're going to see 3, one on the top, one in the nest, and one right behind that female. Those are osprey, and that little one, they have 2 chicks in there. On the other side of the buttonwood is brownish red. It's from a chemical called tannin. Same chemical in coffee and tea. It comes out of the red mangroves. However, water is not red here because there is so much water involved. It's difficult to do that. Now, can anybody find a crocodile? That's an American crocodile that can get up to 16 feet.
That's a big one.
Oh my gosh,
That's bigger than the little one we saw the other day.
So the Florida Bay is actually 33 square miles of very shallow water. It never gets above about 6 feet, and it is the largest area of seagrass in the world, which is incredible.
On a continental rock here, what happens is there's pieces of limestone in a shallow area, and the silt builds up over time to make some type of dry land. Most of these keys are named after someone. That's because people used to live on them. Originally, the Frank family lived here for 14 months, and they moved to Frank Key, and the Murray family moved in. Most of the people that lived here were fishing, or they were trading. They were sending boats up and down the Florida Keys for pineapple, charcoal, coconuts, sugarcane, that sort of thing.
The Everglades National Park was established in 1948, and there are many, many islands out on the Florida Bay.
Yeah, and the islands are called keys.
And they're not actually islands. What Carl explained to us was it comes from the Spanish word for land.
Shallow water.
And really, basically, it's just the mangrove trees, the red mangrove trees that are holding it together. There really isn't an awful lot of land to speak of.
The second most common bird is the American crow. How about the third most common?
Mosquito.
No, that's close. That's the unofficial state bird. Anybody guess? It is the snowbird, and happy to have them. That's your photo op right there.
This is Frank
And again,
Key.
the main business here, the people who lived here were fishing and was trading all those materials back and forth up and down the Florida Bay. More ibis in the air over there.
So these are all red mangroves, and families lived here until about 1948. And if they had a land grant, then they were paid handsomely by the federal government.
Life was very hard here to live. People had a very difficult time living out here. It was so hard they couldn't even get out here. The road you guys drove in on was called the Johnston Highway. It was surveyed by Mr. John Ingram. Yeah, he was a surveyor for Henry Flagler. Henry Flagler did train for it. They finally achieved getting a road down here through some drainage and adding rock and some other things. But when that happened, the population of Flamingo Village went down. Why?
Because they could get out?
Because they could get out is the right answer.
This is our captain and our naturalist. Thank you guys. We had a great time today. It was awesome.
If you want to come and do a boat tour, we did both the boat tours whilst we were here. We did the Backcountry one with these guys, and now we've just done the Bay. And they're both worth the money, and they're both awesome. If you can only do one, I would say the Backcountry one was a little better.
We just took this boat tour, and as we're coming out of the bay right here, there's crocodiles right over here along these mangroves, and you can even see them from here if you look. Let's see if we can see them.
Let's see if we can spot him. But this is the boat tour we took. This is the boat tour with Carl and Mark. Very, very knowledgeable, incredibly friendly, and will definitely answer any questions you have. But the crocodiles we saw were over here. He was right on this. There he is. I see him. He's still there. Yeah. I don't know whether you can make him out in the video, but we can see him with the naked eye. All of the islands out here, there are over 50 islands in Florida Bay, including the Florida Keys that everybody knows, Key West, Key Largo, etc. These islands were once inhabited. They were not easy to actually live on. I think we mentioned earlier that they were trading posts, but in the 1920s they were also used during Prohibition. They were used for distilling water. Probably not just water. But so these, in 1948, when it became the national park, none of these islands are accessible by humans. You are not allowed on these islands. They are all bird sanctuaries. This monument right here is erected to Guy M. Bradley. Guy Bradley was the first man that was in charge of looking after the birds here in the Everglades in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He came up against poachers, the most famous of which was the Smith family. Sadly, in 1905, he attempted to arrest one of Mr. Smith's sons, who was quite obviously poaching out on one of the islands in the bay, and the father of the family shot him. This was a tragedy because he was here to protect the birds. The plumage was being stolen and poached for hats. It was very popular back then for ladies to wear feathers and plumage. His death was so sad, it outraged people within the United States. New York was the first state to pass the Plumage Act, which made it illegal to trade in any wild feathers, and not long after that, every state in the United States passed a similar act. This was all down to his passing away. Whilst tragic, it did actually end up protecting all of the birds. Check out these trees. They're covered in what people call Spanish moss. Did you know? It's not Spanish, and it's not moss. They're more like an air plant, and they don't do any harm to the tree. They don't take any nutrients. They'll have a symbiotic relationship. Aren't they beautiful? We're on our e-bikes. We're going to now take the Guy Bradley Trail back to our campground. Here we go, on the Guy Bradley Trail. And right here, they are building a lodge. There was once a restaurant here, but they're now building a lodge out of old shipping containers. This is a wonderful trail to either hike or bike. Of course, we're biking it right now on our e-bikes. If you want to see the review on our electric bikes, I'll put them up there. But this is going to be the lodge. Thought it's a great idea with the shipping containers, but also it's right along the bay here. And it's absolutely gorgeous.
These shipping containers that they're using and the special windows that they have here are built to withstand a Category 5 hurricane.
Another great find along this Bradley Trail is the osprey nest. Normally there is a whole family up there, but of course right now when we're here. But I think we have some photos we can put up. So this here is the walk-in campground. This also belongs to the Flamingo, but this is just camping, tents only, no RVs. But over there in the distance, that's the glamping, and that's what we're going to go explore now. So here we are now at the eco tents, and there are probably 20 of these things here. They're huge, they're well insulated, they've got all of the fly nets, but they all open to this view of the bay. Aren't they gorgeous? You don't have an RV, but you want to live the outdoor life kind of thing. This is a great option to come down here and rent these eco tents. We'll put all the details of how much these tents are, how you book them and so on. Now, you cannot swim here. You cannot swim anywhere in the national park. I think we mentioned you can't go onto any of the islands. You can wade with your feet a little bit, but you are not allowed to go swimming anywhere in the Everglades National Park. You can, however, take paddle boards, you can take canoes, you can take kayaks, you can rent a boat, you can even rent a houseboat. So there are definite options if you want to get out on the water. You don't have to do the tour like we did. You can take a self-guided tour, I suppose, but it's quite a ways out to go on the bay. And also, you don't get all of the information that Carl was able to share with us. He was so knowledgeable, and we truly enjoyed both of those trips. All right, so here we are now in the main campground. There are two loops. The loop right in front of us here is tents only, and it is wonderful. There are two toilet blocks, there's trash, you can have fires and so on. But we are in trailer loop, which is loop T. Let's go check it out. We'll go all the way around so you guys can see it. This is probably one of our most favorite campgrounds. We would suggest being very careful when you book. We booked this and they kept just saying no electricity, because of course we have our solar. If you haven't seen our solar video about our install and how awesome our solar is, I'll put a link up for that. What we didn't realize until we had got to our site and almost 90% set up was, what she meant to say was, no electricity or water. There is no water at any of these sites. There is a dump here and there is fresh water, but there is just one freshwater access. So let's take a look at the campground. Now this is a private campground, but it is a private campground within the national park system. And what we love about this, look at the size of these spaces. They're absolutely huge. And so these sites on this side, the vast majority of them do have power, they have electricity. But this is us where we are, and we have probably one of the biggest sites here. But it's a beautiful campground and quiet. Oh my goodness, so quiet. The boat tour we took was with Flamingo Tours, and our captain Mark and the guide Carl were incredible on both tours that we took.
We hope you enjoyed our trip to the Everglades National Park. Join us next week as we head to St. Augustine, Florida, the oldest city in the United States. Until then, we'll see you on the trail.